Hello, you're welcome back to Let's Talk. And I have with me again Dr. Adeyinka. You're welcome, sir.
Thank you.
And Pastor Tolu.
Thank you.
You're welcome, sir.
Thank you.
So today I want us to go straight into what are the men's responsibilities in the home. Let me start with Dr. Adeyinka.
Thank you very much. I think first and foremost, what a man should do is to love his wife.
Excellent. Thank you, sir, for that.
And when you love your wife,
Yes.
you know your wife is your better half. She is part of you. If your wife is part of you, you cannot hurt her. Interestingly, I had a friend. From time to time, his wife had come to report to me. There had been a night that the wife even had to sleep in my house.
What was happening? He was beating her or something?
Yeah, she came midnight and I said, you know what, I'm not going to go with you. Stay here, you know. And my wife and I counseled her. But today, unfortunately, they are not together anymore. You know, and that's another key point, but it's not a topic for today.
No, but I think, I'm sorry, we say it's not a topic for today. But this issue of wife beating, I think, I'm happy you raised it. We will still come back to loving your wife. I can't even wrap my head around it sometimes. That why would a man beat his wife? It is totally wrong. And I've seen cases where I also counsel people. And when I asked the man, why did you beat your wife? He said, do I know what she did? Is there anything a woman should do? She's not a baby. You beat children. And even when you beat children, you beat them towards a goal that I want to correct this child. Women cannot be corrected by beating. Dr. Adeyinka, we'll come back to the issue of loving your wife. But you want to say something about beating.
About the beating, I think if we find a man that beats his wife, probably starts from somewhere, from his upbringing. Maybe that's what he had seen. So. Something from there.
But I disagree.
No, that might be part of it. There might be other reasons.
But I think that's one. But a lot of people that do that, they are probably seen something in their past or in their growing up that they are seen as examples that they follow. But, you know, of course, as one grows up, even if you had a past like that or you grew up like that, you can change. But fundamentally, I think that we need to go back. And even Dr. Adeyinka said, they said the greatest thing that a husband can do to his wife, the greatest thing you can do is to love her. And it's the greatest example that you show your children, particularly the male child. If you love your wife and you honor her, you are already setting examples, you know, for the male child and for them in the home on how a woman should be treated.
Thank you very much. I like that example. And I've also seen that it does happen because a lot of times you're an output of what you see. And you're growing up in your home, your mom says something, and your dad just goes, why? And slaps the wife. You don't like it. In fact, you are crying. Why are you beating my mommy? But there's something that is training you. By the time you also get married, one day, something is going to trigger. Your wife says something, and you too, without knowing it, you just do that. So I think that's one of the reasons. And parents should be careful. But you were going to add another reason.
Yeah, I would like to address that issue. There is a reason why I said I disagree, but I think that was too strong.
Thank you.
You know, I agree to an extent in the sense that what you see can affect you.
Yes. Yeah.
But the impact on you and its consequences might be different.
Yeah.
Yes.
I'll be brutally truthful with you. I grew up to see my dad beat my mom.
Yeah.
And guess what? I made up my mind that I would never
do
it to my wife. And today, 23 years.
Yes, it's never happened.
My wife has done things, we disagreed on issues.
Yeah. But it doesn't...
But then, you know, that's the way he rubbed on you. You decided not to do it.
You're not getting my point.
Yeah.
There are instances where when you see your dad did that to your mom,
it could work.
You probably just think
ways.
it's okay, it's normal. There's a Yoruba saying, when you are born and they train you, you retrain yourself. You know.
All right, thank you, sir. So, let's go back now. That was a nice digression. But let's go back. When we say the first role of the husband is to love their wife, may I add something that there's a place of loving your wife where in your heart you know that I love this woman. I would do anything for this woman. And that's one side of loving your wife. May I also add that there's another side of loving your wife where you need to show her the love. Because African men, they love their wives, but sometimes they find it difficult to show it. And you have to show it. Before you say something, one of my friends came and she said, my husband loves me. And I keep on telling him, why don't you tell me? Just tell me once in a while and say, I love you. And after she struggles with the man will not say, I love you. What he will say is, if I didn't love you, will I marry you? He struggles with even saying that word. So I think for men, apart from loving your wife, you need to also show it. Okay. You need to say it.
Well, you're right. You're right. But one thing we have to just understand.
Yes.
First, the Bible says that John 3:16, very popular, for God to love the world, that he gave. Giving means that he did something.
Yes.
So love is about real love.
Yes.
It's a love. The word love is a verb. It's a doing thing. So it's more of what you do. But in the context of what we're talking about, we should not look at it from, like, if we say you love, there are also what they call love languages.
Okay.
Do you understand?
Yeah.
So loving means that you have to understand how the person wants to be loved. For example, I know my wife. I may not tell my wife, and I don't have a problem with telling my wife I love her. But her primary love language is not me telling her. What will she appreciate the most from me is not that I voice it or I don't voice it. Of course, I don't have a problem with voicing. But more than voicing is the thing that she values the most is what they call the acts of service. When I'm just with her, helping her, to do things, my wife can just she lies on the bed and say, I'm hungry, why didn't you just, and I'm just doing that for her.
Okay.
So it's understanding.
So what I said is that when you love, also show that I love. Now, saying I love you is just an example. Taking breakfast to your wife in bed is another example. But show it. Yes. Don't just say that I love my wife and I'm sitting down when you never show it at all. So we've settled that you love your wife.
Yes.
Look for your wife's love language.
Yes.
And what is it that she values the most that will make her see that you love her? And for me, I think we might say a woman's love language is not I love you. But anytime, I wouldn't even say it's my love language per se, but anytime, my husband just passes by and said, Dupe, I love you. It might not be my love language, but it sweets me. I might not even answer or say anything, but it sweets me inside, and it makes me happy that, okay, it's true, this man loves me.
I think I've been very quiet. Yeah. And I'm not a perfect being. I'm also evolving, and I'm a work in progress in the hand of God. I'm probably guilty of everything you said. My wife tells me, oh, you don't tell me you love me. I tell her, but I do. And in my own view, there has to be a balance. Now, don't forget the fact that we are two people from completely different backgrounds.
Yes.
You grew up in an environment where nobody
was saying that, which is totally understood,
I grew up in an environment where my birthday, I forget.
She's okay.
We don't even celebrate birthday when I was growing. What is birthday?
Is okay.
If I remember, my uncle that brought me up, it was his landmark birthday at some point, and I was in school, so I bought a birthday card and sent to him. And guess what? When he saw me, he said, "You are just wasting your money." He was like, "Why will you use the money you were meant to help yourself in school to buy me a card? The card is going to end in the dustbin at the end of the day." Yes. Meanwhile, my wife comes from a background where it's like a huge offense. In fact, they actually count it against you that you didn't wish me a happy birthday. Yeah. But the truth is that over the years, we've learned from
Excellent,
each other.
And I think that's the point, so, yes.
Like iron sharpeneth iron. So we learn from one another.
So do we just say that that's what, when we're looking at love, That's the essence of
that's the
marriage.
point.
You grow into it. You
it.
learn what your spouse appreciates, and then you make sure that you implement those things.
Absolutely.
So that's number one. Can we move to another one?
Okay.
What is another responsibility of the man? I think you talked about love. Can you tell us another one?
I think the after loving your wife, I think the most important role of the man in the house is to lead.
To lead.
To lead spiritually and physically, because I think the man, first, God has given him that role. As it doesn't mean that the woman is subservient to the man. It's just for order, the way God does it. So the man has the responsibility of being a leader, a role model. That the wife, they talked about leading spiritually. That means that he's a priest in the house. He leads spiritually. There's a family altar that he wants to develop and ensure that he takes them before God.
Let's talk about the family altar.
Yeah.
Because it's a way of leading.
Yes.
Dr. Adeyinka, what would you say about the role of the man in the family altar?
The man, as the leader of the home, should be the one to be in charge of the family altar with huge support from the wife. But where there is a gap, would you rather say, because the man is not taking the leadership role, then the family altar can die? No. And this is why the woman comes as a helper. So if the woman is good at managing the family altar, there's nothing wrong for the woman to take the lead.
If the woman has a head start in terms of managing or taking charge of the family altar, sometimes the woman has a head start. And she's the one that, she grew up in a home where we're praying every morning and all that. But I also feel that while that goes on for a while, because recall that today we're talking about the role of the man. Yes. I think within a short while, or as long as, the man should have a focus of catching up. I think the man should have a focus of also deciding that he too is going to set his alarm. The man should also have a focus after a while. I'm also going to, let me even prepare ahead. The family altar tomorrow, let me look for a Bible passage that I'm going to share. And I don't believe in us saying that the man doesn't know how to pray, and so the woman should be the one praying. Even if the man is saying 2 sentences, God hears.
The point I was trying to make is this. The individual circumstances are different. Let me give you an example. The nature of my job keeps me away from home. Travel often. I'm not available all the time. Even, with technology, the distance does not really matter these days. But the truth is that in order to have focus, if my circumstance is creating a gap, I would expect my wife to fill the gap.
Excellent.
Without abdicating my responsibility.
But the key thing, which is a takeout for me, which is what I think should happen, is that the person taking the lead is the man. For example, what happens in my hours is that I take the lead, but it doesn't mean that I'm the one that takes the altar every time. I'm not the one that takes the word every time, because the family altar has evolved to the point that I will say,
the children
has even taken, I will say, okay, for me, you are the one taking today, and we'll say, okay, the children will split it between children. So a lot of times it's just that, but you are the one taking the lead in that context. It's
very important that the man takes charge of the family altar. So we've dealt with family altar. We've dealt about leading. Are there any other roles? Pastor Tolu?
I think another role is, which is very important, is for the man in the house, is that the man protects. And the greatest and the most important protection that the man can do is to protect the family spiritually. That is to stand in the place of prayer. And
stand in the place
of prayer and ensure, and protect the family. I remember there was a time, one day, I just woke up. I woke up with a high sense of urgency in my mind about something in the family. And of course, I didn't have to wake her to panic my wife. I didn't want to panic her. So I just started praying. So she saw the intensity of, she woke up from the intensity of my prayer and said, what's happening? I said, everything is okay. Don't worry. So in that case, what I was doing was, because I knew that there was something, I was standing in a place of prayer and, you know,
and I think that's very
important.
Very important.
And it's also not only, you know, the man also has to, if he has to be physical, you can't imagine somebody physically attacking your family, and as the man, you take off. You deal with that. So the man protects.
There's a specific area of protection I would like you to talk about. Protecting your wife from in-laws. Now, I'm not saying in-laws are bad, but what I've realized is that most of the time, your in-laws, your brothers, your sisters, they have loved you a long time ago. There's nothing you are going to do that is going to affect them. They're just growing to love your wife over a period of time. And when you're growing to love somebody, it might take a while before you turn a blind eye if they have excesses. How can a man protect his wife from in-laws? And I'm not saying that protection is negative. I'm not saying in-laws are bad.
In approaching that question, I start with the background. One, a man has a responsibility to appreciate the background of the wife and his own family background. And the moment you appreciate that, and what I mean by that is that you identify and be able to distinguish between the two, then you will be able to manage expectations. And now in managing expectations, you will discuss with your wife the do's and don'ts of your family, you know. And if it's somewhat uncomfortable for her, you give her support. Okay. And you let her understand that, look, it's only for a while. And I'll give you a very, very personal example. When my wife was just getting to know my relatives that I have my biological parents, and I have my parents who brought me up. They are as important to me as my biological parents. And when we're going to visit them, I needed to manage expectations on both sides. So I told my wife certain things which I know she wasn't really comfortable with, you know. And when she expressed concerns about it, what I told her was that it's not going to last for so long. And guess what? 23 years after, my cousins and my wife, I'm the one that will now tell her now, I'm not comfortable about your relationship. You are getting too close with these people. You know,
I would like to
recently she got into financial transaction with one of them. And I'm like, why did you do that? And she said, oh, they are my family, I can help them. Yes. And I said, you are bloating their expectation. She said, no, they can't ask and I will not do.
But I like the way you said managing both sides. Because if you manage both sides very well, after a while, because the goal is that they should be a part of the family. If you stand very well and you are protecting your wife, eventually they would have a good relationship.
I think I just want to give one example that happened very early in our marriage. I think it was the naming ceremony of one of our kids, one of our children. So when my sister, I think she was going, you know, and they had to pack food. Okay. And when she got home, she found out that the food that was packed for her had only one meat. So she was really upset that why would she give her one meat? Is she begging? Is she a beggar? You know, so it became a very big issue. So when my mom called me because she had told my mom said, this is what happened. Why would Fumi do that? So I said, Fumi, apparently what my wife had done was that it was the caterer. The caterer saw that there was really no meat. I said you should have checked, and I told Fumi. So because it now became a big issue with my family, and she was saying she just carried the flags that the caterer gave her to take. So because my family had made a big deal out of it. So what I did was that I just told them, I said, so what's the big deal? Why didn't you just call her and talk to her about it? Why are you calling mommy? I told them that. So I told my wife that. I said, why wouldn't you check? I said, you should have checked, to know the things you are giving your in-laws.
I think it actually takes a lot of management. But I think the thing to take out of this is that don't just leave your wife to your in-laws, Just see how to manage. Both sides. Yeah. I think one last thing I would like us to talk about is the role of the man is also to provide for home. I think that's clear. We don't need to argue about that. But one thing that I think brings problems sometimes is when the wife is earning much more than the husband. And sometimes, because today we're looking at men, sometimes the men can't handle that. What would you say to a man to help him know how he can handle a situation where his wife is earning more than him. And let's look at it from the background that it's not as if the wife is being bad. The wife is also being nice. She's still being humble and all that. And yet the man cannot handle it.
My key point about that is that men will also have a problem. The moment your wife earns more than you begin to have... No, the men begin to have ego problem.
Yes.
So to get their wife's support will become a problem. I'm not exempting myself, but the reality is that if we use the Bible standard, that we are helping one another, that support system is very key.
Yeah.
You know, yes, I know it's my role to pay my children's school fees, but if for any reason I have financial challenge, do you know the truth? My wife doesn't even wait for me. There have been times my wife would just pay school fees and just tell me, I've paid school fees because I noticed that you've been complaining about funds in recent time. And I'll say, it's okay. And you know what I do? Once in a while, maybe if I do a business, my wife is comfortable. She has a good job. She hands well. But if I do a business and I feel I've made some money, I'll just give her an open check of just give her. Or sometimes I just tell her, keep this and save it towards family fund. Yeah. Maybe later we even be the one to say, that money you saved, I think I need money. Please give me the money, you know. So let's see ourselves as one.
Yes.
Cool. Two bodies coming together to become one. The moment you are conscious about that fact, you won't even feel bad as a man if your wife is supporting you. My wife prays one prayer and I've warned her to stop that prayer. She will tell me she wants me to be very successful and very rich. And she also wants to be as well. But no matter how successful she is, my hand should always be above her own. Okay. And I will tell her, if God wants your own hand to be higher, it's okay. In fact, I've worked long enough in my life. I can also be a house husband and just be collecting and collecting.
But thank you very much, sir. That mindset is what I want our viewers to take home. There's nothing wrong. If the way I look at it is, if the woman is earning more, and let's just accept it and embrace it. And especially if the woman has a good heart and she's not being, negative about it, let's just accept it. It's the blessings from God. Let's embrace it and accept it. Thank you very much. I think it's been a very insightful time.
Thank you.
And our viewers, let me remind us that we're coming back for the third session of this series, and you don't want to miss that. And let me remind us, if you have not yet subscribed to this channel, please do so now. God bless you. See you again next time.